Jury delivered an indictment just hours ago against Joe Biden's son, Hunter. Hunter is accused of unlawfully owning a gun while addicted to drugs and lying on a gun application back in 2018. But is this just a diversion and part of a larger cover-up? Well, full coverage is just ahead. And meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, major new developments in the House Republicans' impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden and the Biden crime family. Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles will be here in just moments with the very latest. Plus, what do Nancy Pelosi's comments on Kamala Harris say about the state of the Democratic Party? We're going to play you the tape, and we're going to get reaction from former California Republican Party chairman, lawyer, and author Tom Del Beccaro. You don't want to miss it. And later, the Biden border crisis goes from bad to worse. What an atrocity. And now, patriotic Americans are taking matters into their own hands. The organizer of the Great American Cleanup, John Rourke, CEO of Blue Line Moving, will be right here in person to explain and tell you what he saw. But first, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy this week laid out the basis for the Biden impeachment inquiry in just a simple 6 words, quote, "Public offices are not for sale." And as we've laid out for you on this program time and time again, the Biden family used their political status during the Obama years to ink lucrative foreign deals with American adversaries while Joe was vice president and while Joe was in control of vital policy portfolios in countries like Ukraine and China. And while many on the left refuse to face reality, the evidence of Joe's shady foreign dealings is only growing. He lied repeatedly when he said he wasn't involved in Hunter's deals because we know he was on phone calls with the business partners, took pictures with them, and Hunter even bragged about his access to Joe in multiple emails. That's facts. That's evidence, folks. The Biden family raked in over $20 million from foreign sources when Joe was vice president, including over 150 banking transactions flagged as suspicious by the Treasury Department. And not to mention an allegation brought to the FBI that Biden himself got a $10 million bribe from the Ukrainian energy firm Burisma Holdings and used his office to coordinate and align the policy with Hunter's business interests. Now, an inquiry is the first step of the impeachment process, where evidence is gathered for the articles or charges of impeachment against a government official. And unlike the extremists running the Justice Department, this investigation will follow the facts and accurately apply the law. And over in the White House, Joe Biden, more than ever, finds himself trying to escape from political quicksand. His approval is sinking. His poll numbers are cratering. And even his, fawning, sycophant allies in the media are telling him his time is up. TikTok Joe. And opinion piece in the Washington Post published this week had the blunt title, "President Biden should not run again in 2024. Doesn't seem to be much equivocation there. But the question for Democrats remains the same. Then who? Because even Nancy Pelosi can't bring herself to say anything nice about Vice President Harris, telling CNN last night that Harris doesn't even have much of a job. That's pretty bad. Watch.
Is the best running mate, though?
She's the vice president of the United States. So when people say to me, well, why isn't she doing this or that? I said, because she's the vice president. That's the job description. You don't do that much. You know.
And it comes as Americans across the country continue to suffer under the Biden economy. Look at today's cover from the New York Post titled, quote, "It's still the economy, stupid." Well, median household income is cratering, inflation is still up, and more people are leaving the workforce. It's a Biden-caused disaster, plain and simple. Here to break it all down, former chairman of the California Republican Party, author of The Divided Era, lawyer Tom Beccaro. How are you, Tom?
Kimberly, great to see you, Kimberly.
Fantastic. So welcome to the program. You and I go way back. So I thought you'd be perfect to talk about this. What's your reaction to this, waffling from Pelosi, the whole California drama? It's not California dreaming, let me tell you something. Very weird answer about Vice President Harris, and, at quote, as the best running mate for Biden. What's going on here? Because I've seen you give some excellent commentary on this, so I want our viewers to enjoy it as well.
I think Nancy Pelosi was being honest for once about the state of Democrat politics. They know for sure that Joe Biden is in deep trouble, as you've outlined, and now with today's headlines getting even worse. So who's next in line? According to an old friend of yours, I think you remember his name somewhere, He said Kamala Harris was next in line. Well, as I've been telling people, that's as convincing as saying Zach Wilson's next in line. No, you don't go from great to Kamala Harris, not that Biden's great, but you need someone good running for office here. And Kamala Harris is not it. She has not improved at all over these 2 years. In fact, in 2016, when I debated her, of all the people on stage, she did the worst. And she unable to answer questions. Foreign policy eluded her. And she doesn't look any better. And her polling numbers are worse than Biden. You know better than I do that all the Democrats care about is winning the next election, and everybody else has to be sacrificed to that. That's why I've been saying for a long time that former President Obama is going to pick up the phone like he did in late February of 2020. He's going to, remember when he called Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg and said, get out of the race? He's going to make that same kind of phone call and clear the field for what I think is that Californian that you used to be so close to.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, it's getting more interesting by the day. So how do you kind of assess, really, if you can capture this moment in time where the Democratic Party establishment is kind of at this moment? I mean, maybe they're all in on it and they're all in agreement about ultimately, what needs to happen. And if you read kind of between the lines, it seems like they want Biden to step aside, but not just yet. So he's sort of like dragging his feet or falling upstairs, falling down the stairs, falling off the bike. Where does it kind of go from here? Because they definitely don't want to take a knee or take a loss, to Trump, right? That's like they can't even do it. So,
right.
What are they going to do in the meantime? Just keep him in as long as possible and then pop somebody in at the end?
Well, in the television internet era, this is unprecedented. They've had weak presidents before. We remember Jimmy Carter, but there was no internet at that time, so there wasn't this intense focus. Every time Biden's in public, his intense focus makes the case worse. So this has been building up. Now the truth is coming out about all his payments. The truth's coming out about his son. As these things develop, the David Ignatiuses of the world can't deny the basic truth, and neither can Nancy Pelosi, who is now saying the truth about Kamala Harris. Look, the deadlines for the early primaries are coming up in just about 30 to 60 days, but as we already know, the DNC isn't going to count those. So what really matters is the deadlines in March. And again, as we saw in 2020, if they decide to coalesce around a single candidate, they still have some time to do that. And I believe that Obama, who many people think is directing many of the inside activities in the White House, he's going to make this call because they want to win. You know why they have to win, Kimberly? Because if they win, all of this DOJ FBI corruption gets to continue, which benefits them. And if someone like President Drain the Swamp Donald Trump were to come back, then all of this would be exposed. So this is a bigger election than most.
Yeah, it really is. It's quite fascinating in many respects, to just watch it from an American, political history perspective. But let's talk about California, kind of drill down on that. The state of the GOP. Is there a state of the GOP in California? I know, God bless, Orange County, Newport Beach. But it's pretty much a one-party ruled state. Where do Republicans, as you see it, have opportunities to make gains? Because I know I used to live there. There are some, sane, reasonable people that love their country in California.
Yeah, absolutely. Kimberly, as you know, big government fails, and it usually fails spectacularly. And in California, perhaps the most spectacular failure deals with crime, right? Prop 47, no pursuit of people stealing 950 below. That came in 2014. It has built up over time, and now it's the scourge of this state. If I was chairman again, and I was the last chairman in California to qualify a statewide initiative, I would do a repeal of Prop 47. The business community would be behind it. Residents in a lot of areas would be behind it, even in LA and in San Francisco. So the mistake of a party that is in the minority is to think they have to be everything to everybody. You don't. The reason why the contract with America worked is because I called it foot in the door politics. Take a narrow slice, propose a solution. When Republicans have proposed solutions in this state with initiatives, they've done historically very well. So if the Republican Party in this state wants to come back from really this moribund situation you are describing, then do something. And the something is put in an initiative to get crime under control in this state and put the Democrats back on their heels.
Yeah, it's really true. I mean, I think there's so much opportunity there, but it's sort of being squandered or people throwing up their hands. But what is the most important message as you reflect right now for the Trump campaign and Republican candidates to win over those very crucial, independents and even apathetic, voters or disenchanted or disenfranchised, even moderate Democrats, for 2024? Because you got to get more than you got last time, right? So, I mean, by all measures, people are like, hey, I think we need another 15, million votes for President Trump. How do you see it, and what's the messaging, and how can it be accomplished?
Well, I think there's two things going on here. Clearly, the economy works very well because rarely in American history, political history, do we have an example in such a short time frame of what good policies can do and what bad policies can do right away. And obviously, I worked to help push the tax cuts. Biden's policies have been a big failure because big government fails. So to reach independents and moderates, they care about what can you do for me next, right? Elections are about the future. So that's a very clear opportunity for all Republicans across the nation to say, we reduced government in a lot of areas and it worked. They've increased it and it's failed. But they also need, as with President Trump going out there and speaking and saying this issue of the DOJ and the FBI is bigger than me. This is about fairness, which is the reason America was founded. Fairness, equality, and the democratization of rights. And we need to champion this not just in the economy, but also when it comes to justice. And as long as it's forward thinking, Kimberly, I think the Republicans can do exceptionally well next year.
Okay, all right. Well, I agree with you. I think it's a good perspective. And how does this is the latest breaking news about the Hunter Biden indictment, the impeachment inquiry, end up affecting it all, in the grand scheme of things, when you get some elevation on it, amid the whole lawfare, in juxtaposition being used against Donald Trump?
Yeah, well, first of all, this issue of it being about guns is very unique, right? If this had been about the Foreign Agent Registration Act, which is kind of arcane to most human beings,
right,
it wouldn't have the same effect. This is a clear violation of the law, which the Democrats have been pushing for a long time, and many would say rightfully so.
Yeah.
I do want to say my personal opinion is this should have been charged under the Bill Barr's DOJ.
Sure.
It's not, I don't think, the fault just of the current DOJ.
Very important point, by the way. Think about that.
And the other one, Kimberly, is this defense of the Democrats that, he was an addict. No. The whole point of the law is to stop addicts from getting guns. If you come out and say, he's an addict, therefore he should get away with it, it would eviscerate the law. So because this is about gun control, it's an impossible situation for the Democrats to hide from. So Republicans should say, if the law is to be applied equally, look at how people have been charged, look at the time they behind bars, and the Bidens shouldn't be exempt from this. And honestly, I think this is just one more reason to they're going to push him out.
Well, I think you're absolutely right about this, and it's all, backfiring in spectacular fashion, and I think it's inuring to the benefit of Donald Trump, and he's running away with it in the primary, and he's doing very well up against, Hunter Biden. Just real quick, we'll talk about someone we know. Gavin Newsom, his political calculations. What do you think about him and how he's positioned himself up to this point?
Well, his policies have failed spectacularly. California is once again leading the nation in poverty because he pushes big government, right? But results, as you know, Kimberly, don't matter on the left. What matters is just that you have continuing rhetoric to fight for the issues. And
right.
Let's give him some credit here. He has put himself in the middle of the discussion on climate nationally, the middle of the discussion on gun control nationally, and on abortion rights. And that's good enough on the left. Never in history, by the way, have we had one person putting himself in the middle of an election when he's not running and there's an incumbent. I think there's a reason there. That's why I think that if Biden goes and Kamala gets pushed aside, Gavin Newsom's going to reluctantly say, well, they're calling for me to run.
Right,
I think it's 50-50.
He was recruited or drafted. Nominee. Right. Well, the thing is, let me tell you something, having known him for many years and still know him very well, he's not going to do something unless it's sanctioned by the party. Because before, when he wanted to be governor, and I advised him on it, I said, you got to go with the party on this, because Jerry Brown wanted to run again. I said, it's an easy layup for you to be lieutenant governor. That's the race you pick. That's the race you go. That's the race you'll win. You wait your time. You show that you're loyal to the party. You're a team player. It'll be rewarded, because I know how that side works very well. And, he listened. He did it. And now he would not, trust me, he's not that rogue guy, be doing this unless there was something sanctioned behind the scenes. So, he has his staff working very closely with Biden's to act like, oh, hey, I'm the team player. I'm here. I'm doing this and this and this. But I'm telling you, the fix is in. But let's see. Seduce him? Is it take a deep breath, namaste, Michelle Obama? Oh, I don't know. We'll see. But one thing's for certain, my good friend, we're going to have you back on a lot. Love you. I think you have great analysis all across the board about the law, about politics, and it's absolutely fabulous to see you again.
All right. Take care. Thanks so much for having me on. Look forward to it.
Be well, Tom. All right. And so make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And I'm also keeping an eye on the live chat, which is blowing up. So keep those questions and comments coming, because it's all of you who make the show possible, along with our incredible sponsors. So be sure to go check out the great folks over at Goldco, because gold and silver can protect your retirement savings from inflation and dollar devaluation. I mean, look, we all see the economic warning signs. We see banks collapsing. We see reckless spending. Thank you, Swamp. And I want you to be ready, because I'm ready. With Goldco, you can take action to secure and stabilize your portfolio. Take control of your life. Roll over your 401k or your IRA into precious metals and safeguard your savings. You can do this tax and penalty free. So from precious metals, IRAs, to direct purchases of gold and silver, Goldco has helped thousands of smart Americans place over $2 billion in gold and silver. That is a lot, just this company. And when you open up a qualifying gold IRA today, you can get up to $10,000 in free silver. So let me ask you something. When's the last time somebody gave you $10,000 in free silver? Are you kidding me? You can go play the scratch off tonight, or you can go get the free silver. Just saying, 10K. So go to kimsmetals.com to learn more. That's kimsmetals.com. And the good folks at Goldco will take care of you. So let's take a look at the live chat. Drew, what do we have going on?
Well, we have one, forgive me, I think it's pronounced sizzled.
Oh, sizzled.
But it's spelled a little differently.
Okay.
But it says, Kimberly is like President Trump. So I think that's the best
Oh
compliment.
my God, I love that. You complete me with that comment. Are you kidding me? He thinks so too, but he thinks I'm more aggressive than he is, which I find to be funny, because Don Jr. and POTUS tell me, oh, you're so aggressive. My Kimberly, you're my killer. And I'm like, really? Like, you guys are pretty aggressive. But I appreciate that. I would actually agree with that statement.
I would agree with it too, but a lot of comments about certainly the indictment and whether or not, is there more coming, or is it a distraction? What do you think?
I think this is really what they call a sign of the times, which they're finally getting around to doing. Tom Delpacaro makes a great point, which is like, this should have been a long time coming. This should have been under the watch of Bill Barr's DOJ. Okay? So what were people doing? No offense, probably even Sessions. But here's the deal. We have to wait till now. So yeah, we should criticize the current DOJ and Merrick Garland. But nevertheless, place blame where place is due. Be accurate, be factual. Don't be partisan. Just get your facts right. That's what we do on this show. And it should have happened before. It's happening now. I think more is to come because they are going to fade Joe Biden out. Okay? Exit stage left, bye, sayonara. So that's what's happening here. And I think there more they can reveal to damage him and the family. It hurts the credibility of the president, of the office of the presidency, of the administration, so they can move someone in. They don't want to take a chance with sleepy Joe Biden getting crushed, pummeled into dust by Donald Trump. So it's really a matter of when, not if. But that's just my personal opinion. Really happy to give it here on the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show. I'm so happy she lets me give the opinion.
Very, very good analysis. Also, hit the like button. We keep saying it.
Yes.
Hit the like button.
So right down below, I think it's right there. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Don Jr.'s channel. There's a big show coming up at 6 p.m. Eastern Live that you don't want to miss as well. And turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, so we can spend this time together and I can hit the live chat. You can put your comments, your questions, we'll answer them. So I think that's the deal here. I'm personally just very excited about this, finally, to get a step for justice, for Lady Justice in the right direction with the notorious Biden crime family and the supersized crackhead Hunter Biden, because it's about time. You know, he's not above the law. No one is. And as a prosecutor, I take it really seriously that people need to follow the law and the evidence and the facts, and that justice should be blind and not partisan. So the facts and evidence speak volumes about his nefarious and criminal behavior and that of his family, so they need to be held accountable. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, very good point. And we'll get through a couple more here. It's actually really blowing up. Tom, both of you, Californians, is there hope for California?
I do think there's hope from California. You know, Don Jr. and I campaigned a lot in California. People are like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, we're going to go raise money for President Trump. We went to San Francisco. We went everywhere. We were able to raise a lot of money because people actually are far more smart and common sense oriented in this country than you think, even in the People's Republic of California, where I was born and raised, by the way. You know, it's not just Newport Beach. It's throughout different areas of California. They want responsible government. They want to put America first. They want strong borders. They want strong national security and foreign policy and jobs and manufacturing and infrastructure. They want lower taxes. They want all of the things for their families to thrive. So I think, you know, what we're seeing now is just such a very stark black and white juxtaposition between what we had under the President Trump, you know, presidency and the administration of the Biden crime family. And I think people have had enough. And that's why I think you see even the Democrats closing the curtains on their own act. And it's about to be like the final act for Biden. And that's what I think. And then it's just a matter of whether it's going to be Michelle Obama, because let's be honest, the Obamas are running everything behind the scenes anyway, but she probably doesn't want a campaign, so they'll put her in at the last minute, or they'll put in Gavin Newsom, or they'll put a combination of the two of them together. How about that? You heard it here first.
So the last point.
Yes.
So Governor Newsom has said repeatedly, I'm not running. Do we think that means the opposite? I mean, what do we think?
I think he's got to say that to just have credibility with the party and not, like, you know, be a complete disruptor to doing Biden. You've been seeing that their two teams have been working together, coordinating. They've had public appearances together, because if it's going to be, it's like the 4x1 relay where someone then is going to hand the baton, okay? So whether he's the closer, he's the second leg, the third leg of it, I don't know. But he's definitely in the mix for sure, because quite frankly, who else do you see out there from the Democrats? Nancy. She's not running. So, I mean, who else do you have? AOC, not electable. Bunch of nut jobs, you know. So, I don't know. Like, name one person on the Democrats that's even really capable of running.
Well, that's a great point. And it's also interesting, too, you go back, and you know this as well as anyone, if you go back to the days of Willie Brown, it's all part of the same little circle with Pelosi
and Brown's got plenty to say about Kamala Harris.
And Kamala Harris. So it's interesting how here we are, sort of the same people with the same, you know, power and influence.
It's the same inside players, you know, inside baseball, running things, making the decisions. But I'll give them the credit on this. they're pretty united and unified as a party with what they plan and scheme and how they decide things and the way things go down. They're very good about, okay, this is what we need to do, be a team player and put it forward. So I think they know exactly what they're going to do, and it's just a matter of time, for the reveal. But they want to keep Biden in as long as possible, prop him up. But I think they know that he cannot survive another administration. And if you were a Democrat, do you want, God bless, if like Biden were to get reelected again and die in office or something, or become unable to perform his duties, do you want Kamala Harris? Ask yourself that. I don't even think the Democrats want that. Not at all. Because even if she got in, she would not be electable or a viable option to run for another term. Think about that.
All great points.
I
And
agree.
you have to wonder, RFK Jr. is polling closer to Biden than DeSantis is to
It's absolutely
President
true.
Trump. So
And he's gaining a lot of traction. People are pretty excited about it. And by the way, the Democrats are doing everything they can to try to destroy, RFK Jr., who's a friend of mine, by the way, and, President Trump. It's the same thing all over again. They don't want an outsider, someone who's politically independent, going to come in and do things their way and tell it how it is and connect with the people. The swamp supports the swamp. The uniparty, the globalists, the establishment, they're all in it together. And that's the bottom line. And that's what we see over and over again. And that's what people are tired of, by the way, because it's offensive and insulting to the American people and to the American taxpayers who pay a lot of money to have representatives in D.C. Do the best job to represent them. They're supposed to represent their constituents, do the best for the American people, whether it's on a variety of issues. But I actually feel this is the best Congress we've had from a Republican perspective in a while, really trying to push forward things and being very aggressive. But we need to gain and increase that majority, and we need to do it in the Senate as well. That's why all these races are so important. That's why we had Bernie Moreno from Ohio as the endorsement of J.D. Vance. That's a tag team 1-2 punch. For the great state of Ohio. I wish we had Sean Parnell, in Pennsylvania. Extremely upsetting that we have that, crash test dummy with the brain falling out of his ears, stupid Fetterman. He's a disaster. I mean, literally a disaster. And the country deserves better. So people are tired of this, but these are just pawns put forward by the people who are actually in control. And that's what we're seeing over and over again.
well, great point. Also, too, we always used to learn growing up that like all politics was local. That was what we were taught.
Mm-hmm.
But now it feels like all politics is national. And, it's an interesting dynamic. John Fetterman, great example.
It's really true, but you can't imagine somebody like that, even who's not fit to serve, staying in office, etc. But when you see that, he doesn't just represent the people in Pennsylvania. He's out there representing the people of the United States of America. You may be elected by your state, but the bottom line is you represent all of the people of this great country. So we all deserve better. It's not just Pennsylvania getting short, shrift and end of the stick with him. It's everyone else. It's whether you're in California or Oregon or New Hampshire or New Mexico or Arizona, or South Carolina or North Dakota or South Dakota. It's all Americans that are getting the short end of the stick when we have candidates that come in that lack competency, that lack qualifications, that lack core ethics or ability to serve. And that's what we have in the White House right now. That's what we have in Fetterman. And those people need to be thrown out of office. And quite frankly, while we're at it, rhinos, Republicans in name only, or establishment hacks who lie to get elected, go in there and do absolutely nothing and turn a blind eye. And just like the title, they need to be thrown out too. So we're making a list and checking it twice. All right. And just ahead, one of my favorites of all time, he kicks ass every single day. He is a United States veteran and business owner, John Rourke of Blue Line Moving. He is taking the border crisis by storm, and he's taking it into his own hands. It shows you what one American, one patriot can do when they put their mind and their heart and their energy and the effort to doing something about what they see. And he organized an incredible border cleanup in Brownsville, Texas. You're going to see it. We're going to explain all of it. He's back here on the ground. He's going to be here in person. We've seen him all across television, whether it's Fox or Newsmax, etc., because no one has the footage that he has. It's really important. It really hits home for what we see with drugs and fentanyl and stuff coming across the border, child and human sex trafficking. So this is amazing. But first, I want to just do a quick thank you for another incredible sponsor before we bring John Rourke on, someone who supports this show, amazing. Our good friends at Patriot Mobile. So don't forget about them. With Patriot Mobile, you put America first with every call, all while getting the same nationwide coverage as major carriers. Patriot Mobile provides you dependable wireless service at an affordable price, putting your dollars into action and supporting freedom-loving values. They donate a portion of every dollar to support groups that fight for the First Amendment, the right to bear arms, the sanctity of life, and protecting our brave police and first responders. Patriot Mobile, mobilizing freedom and supporting you. So folks, for free activation, please go to patriotmobile.com/KG. patriotmobile.com/KG. All right. And now we turn our attention to the southern border, where the chaos and destruction is only getting worse. We have Army veteran and business owner, Blue Line Moving, John Rourke, is taking matters into his own hands, just like he has his whole life, organizing a border cleanup and spotlighting the damage being done by the Biden border agenda. Take a look. Joining me now, the man responsible for that footage and the Great American Cleanup, veteran CEO of Blue Line Moving and the organizer of this whole movement, John Rourke. John, thank you so much for being back on the program. So talk to the people about this, because I think it's fascinating. What inspired you to organize this and decide to do it?
So President Trump was the first person that inspired me to clean up Baltimore. So when he was going back and forth with, I think it's Representative Cummings, about Baltimore being a rat-infested shithole, essentially.
That's a technical term.
I just couldn't believe what I was seeing on the TV. You know, just trash, so much trash and so much destruction in that city. I just got motivated and said, you know, I feel like I can go there and clean some of that up and make a difference. So I organized my first cleanup in Baltimore. We were able to pick up 26 tons of trash from that city just off the sidewalks and the alleys in a 20-block area. We also saved 2 people's lives. 2 gentlemen overdosed 15 minutes into our first cleanup right on the street, right on the sidewalk in front of us. A lady ran out of her house with Narcan. We Narcan these 2 guys back to life. Literally, that was welcome to Baltimore. And so, I mean, that's what it's like. You've seen the videos of people just standing up, hunched over, looking like zombies. That's real. That's not, you know,
it's
for
scary.
video.
Yeah, you do see it on, you know, social media, Twitter and Instagram and or X, whatever you call it, and Truth Social. And it's real, like it's zombie apocalypse, but it's actually happening. It's like Will Smith's I Am Legend movie, but it's coming true in American cities across this country.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you just don't see that every day. And when you see people overdose and drop dead in front of you, it really moves you. And I knew that after we cleaned up those 26 tons that there was more to do. So I saw a sheriff on Fox and Friends talking about all the trash that's left behind at the border. And I just couldn't believe it. I never thought about that. When you think about the border, you just think about the people crossing. It's always about the people and the numbers. You never think about what's left behind when they cross. So I started looking at the trash, and I couldn't believe it. So I reached out to that sheriff, and I said, "Hey, I wanna, you know, clean up your area. I saw you on TV. I can't believe what's going on. I want to do something about it. I did a cleanup in Baltimore, very successful. Can I come out there and clean up your area?" He goes, "Well, my area is bad, but I got a worse area for you." So he put me in contact with the sheriff of Valverde County, Texas, which is Del Rio, Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez, and put me on the phone with him. I talked to him, and he said, "I'd love to have you come down." We're actually right on the border, so the other sheriff was about 60 miles away from the border, and it was that bad still. So we went down to Del Rio, and we cleaned up trash, and that's when the 20,000 illegal aliens were living under the bridge. We just happened to be underneath that bridge doing our cleanup when there was only 2,000 people there, and then it just ballooned up to 20,000. They asked us to leave. So that was Del Rio. I actually exposed that story. No one knew about that because it's on federal property.
Right.
And I ran into a drone crew from Fox, and I said, "You guys are in the wrong spot." They dropped the drone, went there, and then that's when you saw the drone flying over that encampment, where they were literally cutting trees down to make teepees. They were washing newborn babies in the Rio Grande. It was just a horrible scene, and I've been, you know, all over the world. I've been to Iraq, I've been to Bosnia. This is right up there with those 2 locations as far as desperation and trash and just I got goosebumps underneath my jacket right now. Honestly, it's just brutal to think about it. But we went to Eagle Pass the next cleanup. I found a dead body there on the shores of the Rio Grande while we were cleaning up, obviously, tons and tons of garbage. And then I chose Brownsville for this cleanup that I just came back from. I back on Monday. And we picked up 10.6 tons of garbage, or 21,240 pounds of trash that was remaining on the border from illegal aliens crossing in about a half a mile stretch of the Rio Grande. So if you think about, the average American wears about 1 to 2 pounds of clothing per day. So you can kind of do the numbers on how many people crossed, leaving that much trash behind. 21,240 pounds. It could be anywhere from 10 to 20,000 people just in that
area.
One little half a mile area in Brownsville, Texas. So it was a great success. We were able to raise $15,000 and donate that directly to the constable's office, because that's something we also do, is we donate money to the sheriff's office or the constable or law enforcement area. The last 2 years we donated $10,000 to Valverde and to Eagle Pass, Maverick County, and this year we were able to get it up to $15,000. And right now, actually, that's being blocked by a liberal county judge.
Yeah, talk about that. This is outrageous. Here you go out of your way to raise this money. You're not doing it for any other reason, just to try to help people and clean up the border and protect this country. Now, tell us what transpired. You were able to get this check, and you think, okay, great, this is fantastic. Let's turn it in. This could be greatly utilized. And what happened?
Yeah, so We Fund the Blue is my foundation, and we raise money and we donate it to local law enforcement to actually fund the Blue, not defund them. So they're being worn out down there. They're fighting off an invasion. They need new equipment. They need everything to be upgraded. This is not regular police work that they're performing down there. So that's what this money was going to go to. And I guess when you donate money to a law enforcement agency, they have to go before a board of commissioners, and that the board of commissioners has to approve the deposit of the check and what it's going to go for. So this liberal county judge, his name's Eddie Trevino, he blocked the money from being able to be deposited by the constable because he believes that the cleanup was political, when obviously nothing was political. We had the chief of the Rio Grande Valley for Border Patrol, Gloria Chavez, came out and was picking up trash with us. I don't think she wants to get involved in any kind of political events down on the border as a high ranking as she is. But she was out there with Border Patrol agents, and obviously the local law enforcement. The constable was out there 2 days. It's 107 degrees outside. They're in full gear picking up trash.
It's so hot. Trust me. I was in Texas recently. It was 108. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And these gentlemen were out there, and these ladies were out there picking up garbage from illegal aliens, okay? Not only are they trying to prevent them from crossing, but then they're going to the border and picking up their trash after them. And let me tell you, folks, the people that are coming to this country were screaming on the other side of the river at us, throwing their trash into the Rio Grande, screaming across the river at us to pick up our trash, you dirty Americans. That's right, we see you picking it up. Keep picking up our garbage. So that's who's coming into your country, America, into your states, into your cities, into your counties. These are the people who are going to be living amongst you. These are not people that have great intentions for this country.
No, and your taxes are going to go towards this. There's like a real problem with the kids being in school. So many, they don't speak English, etc. A healthcare burden on the country. So this is what your tax dollars are going to have to actually go to. People who hate your guts and say, oh yeah, pick up my trash, dirty Americans.
Think about how insulting that was. We're all out there. We had 138 volunteers show up. And we have to listen to these people scream at us to tell us to pick up our trash. That's right, you're doing it, keep picking it up. They're screaming at us. So that was a little disheartening, but you know what, that's sometimes that's the way it goes. It's good to get it on video and get people to be able to see it so they know.
Well, you know why? So it's real, because we hear about there's a crisis at the border. We have an open porous border, the Biden border failure. But when you see it and you see the video and the stuff that John was able to capture and his volunteers, it really brings it home. And it's some of the most compelling video and documentation. This is not Hollywood manufactured insanity. This is reality of what is going on at our border and of who wants to come in. And by the way, very offensive to, just cut the line and say, well, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to come into this country. I'm not going to apply the right way to come in like everyone else did. And by the way, the people that are hardworking immigrants that are part of this country that we welcome, that waited in line and took their turn to come in, that should be honored and respected as well. Not people who are saying, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to do it my way and run across the border. And we're at record high numbers under the Biden administration because there is no enforcement. He's a weak link. And that's the problem, that I've seen. There was something that you and I discussed personally that's just very disturbing, and I struggle with putting it out there, but I think it's very important that the truth is told. And Eduardo Verástegui is a very good friend of mine, and Tim Ballard and of Don Jr.'s. And the movie Sound of Freedom is so compelling, and there's such a problem with human and child, sex trafficking. I see it in every airport that I'm in. There's signs and like notices on all the restroom doors and in the bathrooms. If you see something, say something. And there's announcements over the PA systems about this. I don't think people really have an idea how serious this is. And John, when you were there, you saw, it was so upsetting. Talk about the children's clothing and.
It just enrages me. I mean, I have 4 young children. Man, does it piss me off. We found used condom after used condom after used condom. I couldn't even keep track of how many there were, right alongside children's onesies. Onesie with a used condom next to it. So, I mean, we know that there's 87,000 missing children currently from the U.S. border.
That's correct.
And no one knows where they are. And then when you ask them where they are, they say, well, the people that are sponsors just aren't answering the phone. So then why don't you send someone there to go to their door and make sure that child's there if they're not answering the phone?
One of the biggest failures of the Biden administration, besides Afghanistan. But this is what's going on. This is what we need to stop and to prevent, and it's very, very serious. I can't thank you enough, just as a patriotic American, for what you do, because you see something and you get involved and you document it. And the only way we're going to wake this country up and the world up is by actually having that compelling video and footage of exactly what you saw. And it's interesting because you're a humble man, an amazing servant to this country, in the sense that you served your country admirably, a veteran, you're an entrepreneur, but you said, you know what, if not me, then who?
That's right.
And you went to go do this to make sure that people know exactly what's going on and what the crisis is, what it really means, the face of the crisis.
That's correct.
And, you really made it personal for all of us. So, and I know there's big demand for you across social media and everywhere, and all the different networks and everything, to get your footage. But, it's just really true when you see the difference that one person can make, one human being, to have an impact and on American political history, so that we know this. And once you see this, people can't look away, and they can never forget it.
They can't. We changed so many minds. We had college students actually from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley show up, and they had to write an essay on what they saw as their professor brought them out. And one of the college kids had texted the professor, which got back to us, that they were in favor, previous to the cleanup, of illegal immigration of any kind, just hardworking people trying to come here. We changed their mind. They're now not in favor of that. They're now going to vote for President Trump. They saw it with their own eyes. And what really did it for them was the children's clothes and the people, frankly, screaming across the river, telling us to clean up their mess. So we're changing minds out there. We're exposing the Biden administration.
Sometimes people need to see it.
They have to see it. I mean, you're not seeing this on legacy media. We're getting into areas that legacy media can't get into because it's federal property. So working with the Border Patrol and the police to get into these hard-hit areas, you're able to see the vast amounts of trash and what's really going on now. They're literally prying open the concertina wire and making walkways into the United States. We removed an extension ladder that they were using to get in. They had a full-blown tent set up where they were resting underneath. I mean, they are just coming across the border whenever they feel like they need to come across. There's an encampment on the other side of that river of about over 1,000 people. They're literally waiting there to cross, and the reason why they haven't crossed yet is because they're controlled by the cartel. So the Border Patrol told us that the cartel tells them when they can cross, and if they cross without permission, that they'll go after their family. So some of those people have been living in that encampment for 4 months, waiting for their number to be called to cross. And that's how bad it is. They're completely controlled. And Mexico is obviously not doing anything. They're letting them live right there on the river.
Well, when Trump gets back in, like he said about the wall, we're going to build the wall, Mexico's going to pay for it. Well, Mexico needs to be a partner in this. That's why I hope that our good friend Eduardo Verástegui will become the next president of Mexico and do something about this, and work with who I believe will be the next president of the United States, Donald John Trump, to do something about this crisis, because those two will get it done.
Facts.
All right, John, you're the best. We love you. God
Thank
bless
you.
You're a great American, okay?
Thank you so much for
All
having
right,
me
I love
on.
it. I got some cleanup downstairs. It's all Don Jr.'s hats, hoarding stuff. He's laughing.
I'll get right on it.
He's laughing because he knows it's true. All right. And now in closing, more than ever, as you see, we see the panic inside the Democratic Party. Biden is crumbling, literally crumbling apart into pieces in front of our very eyes. And the House Republicans are uncovering more and more evidence of his family's corruption. But remember, it's when Democrats get desperate that they go all in on their dirty tricks, so pay attention. But the good news is, the more Donald Trump gets attacked, the stronger he gets. The American people are inspired by the courage of Donald Trump. And it's why now, more than ever, it's time to stay in the fight. This is the MAGA moment. In 2024, it's all on the line, and we get the final say. And with each day, we are one day closer to victory and one day closer to a brighter future and a better America. And until that day, and for every day in between, remember that you have a home right here on this show on Rumble, where we reject the false narrative and we always seek the truth. So please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel at Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr.'s channel. Turn on notifications, download that Rumble app, folks, and tell all your friends and family so they know exactly where to find us. And also be sure to follow us both across all platforms. Don and I are on X, formerly known as Twitter, Truth Social, Facebook, and Instagram. And please don't miss Don Jr.'s Big Show, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's live, baby, with iconic sports journalist Jason Whitlock. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a good one. So please, if you could for a moment, hop on over to Locals for a live Q&A to chat a little bit more with yours truly.